I remember the first time I felt liberated by words. I can't even tell you how old I was when these words freed me to live my life. They weren't even big words or fancy words. In fact, they were quite simple words. But somehow they caught my ear, resonated in my heart, and elevated my spirit so much that my thoughts began to stir with excitement and began to liberate themselves through the words coming out of my mouth. And before I knew it, I was speaking things that I had kept hidden in my mind. And then I began doing things that I had only ever imagined myself doing in my sleep. How could 9 simple little words shape entire decades of my life? So what were those words, you ask? Okay, are you really ready for them? All right, here they are. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. Yep, those were the words that changed my life and liberated me to do the things that I had previously only ever imagined in my mind. So I thought, wow, if those 9 words could make me feel this free to live whatever life I can imagine, then what were the words that were keeping me incarcerated for so many years? If you want to learn how to free yourself and others from the words that are keeping you from having the relationships or living the life you desire, then stick around with me for the next few minutes and discover how you can speak words that liberate and don't incarcerate. Hi, welcome to You Can Talk. I'm Ruth Finney, and this is a channel solely dedicated to helping you talk your way to healthier relationships. Whether you're married or dating, or if you're struggling to communicate with family or friends or people you work with, then this is the channel that will help you experience some real change. If you're willing to put some simple principles into practice, become a talker, subscribe to You Can Talk, and check out my tips, lessons, and classes on weekday mornings at 5 a.m. Central Standard Time, or come chat with me in my Talk to Ruth live sessions held on Saturday nights from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Walk with me through the user's manual as we discover some revelations in communication that you can incorporate into your life so that you can talk your way to healthier relationships. Every day I walk through life hearing the way we speak to ourselves and to others, and can typically see a direct correlation of how words have a direct impact on the health of our relationships or even the decisions we choose to make. Whether we feel stuck in a relationship that feels limiting or confining, or whether we feel free to be fully ourselves without fear, without judgment or anxiousness, that at any moment it could all be over. And depending on what we say to ourselves or allow others to speak over us determines what decisions we make, how we'll respond to a matter, and ultimately how we're living out our lives. When we hear words like, "You're never going to be able to achieve success with that," or "You don't have the skill set to accomplish what that requires," we begin to feel the shackles of negative words casting down our thoughts of hope, dissipating any faith we have in our abilities, and shutting down our willingness to even try. Or when we hear words like, "Once you get involved with that, it's over. You'll never be able to get out of that lifestyle or overcome those challenges." So we begin to feel stuck behind the bars of discouragement, handcuffed by limiting beliefs, and devalued by the words of a condescending tongue. And what happens when we hear those same types of destructive words in our relationships? When someone says, "This will never work, we're too different," or "You don't even have it in you to be able to love another person," or "What about you have nothing to offer? You'll never be enough. You just don't have what it takes." When we hear these words, we lose all hope that we'll ever be in a loving relationship, that we could ever create space in our hearts to trust or love another human being, or we may even question whether or not we're even deserving of love. And one failed relationship after another, we begin validating our beliefs that we may never have lasting love. But what happens when we replace words of doubt, fear, or discouragement in our conversations with words of kindness, hope, and love? Or what happens when we surround ourselves with those who pour belief, inspiration, and encouragement into our spirits instead of judgment, degradation, or disappointment? Well, I can tell you what happens. We begin seeing things in a different light. Our views on what's possible begins to expand, and we begin to have thoughts of what if? What if I allow myself to believe? What if I make a different decision? What if I make an attempt at this? And what if I fail? And all of a sudden, the power of wonder becomes more powerful than the thought of fear. My mother used to always say, when we're in relationships with others, we can either bring out the best of a person or we can bring out the worst of a person, all by how we choose to communicate with each other. Think about that. Our words have the power to bring out the best of a person or the worst in a person, all by what we choose to speak. So what approach do you think is more effective to bring out the good? Words of liberation or words of incarceration? If I say to you, that was the dumbest, most irresponsible decision you could ever make. How could you be so stupid? How do you think that will make the person feel? Embarrassed? Ashamed? Or even less than? But what if I said to the same person, this may not have been the smartest decision you ever made, but I know you have it in you to make better choices because I've seen you do this or I've heard you do that. Which one do you think will make them feel more empowered and likely help lead them to make a better decision the next time they're faced with the same situation? Or what if in a relationship I said to you, you're the most selfish, uncaring, unlovable person I have ever been in relationship with? How do you think they'll respond? In anger? In defense? Or they may just shut down or completely check out. But what if I said, I don't know who this person is now standing in front of me, but the person I know you're capable of being is giving, always concerned about others, and willing to speak kindness and show love to anyone in need. What do you think will happen? Suddenly, they will remember who they truly are, the person they used to be, or someone they're capable of being. When we use words that free people from emotional, physical, and mental incarceration, we liberate them to become who they were created to be. Our word tells us in Romans chapter 4, verses 17, to call out the things that are not as though they were. So when we speak to the good of a person, reminding them of who they were created to be, we give them the freedom and the ability to rise to it. But when we speak negativity into a person, or even within ourselves, we are more likely to fall down into the very thing that was spoken. If we want healthy lives and healthy relationships, we have to speak to those things that currently aren't as though they are. So the things we desire can resonate in our hearts, elevate our spirit, stir up thoughts of excitement, and we can begin to not only speak it, but live out the images that were once trapped in our minds. Or we can bring out the best of each other and enjoy the relationships we only imagined that we could ever be a part of. We don't have to let our words keep us incarcerated or prevent us from enjoying a life full of purpose or a relationship full of love. We can speak life into the space where hope no longer resides, or pour love back into areas where kindness and togetherness was once all that mattered to us. So use words that liberate and don't incarcerate those we care about to the confining walls of a tiny cell. If you can relate to any or all of these communication struggles and are tired of the seemingly endless cycle of communication barriers that are keeping you from the relationships that you desire to have with others, then become a talker. Subscribe to You Can Talk. Select that notification bell down below and meet me here on weekday mornings at 5 a.m. for talk tips, lessons, and classes. Or come chat with me over on my Saturday night Talk to Ruth live sessions from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks for watching, and if you would, please hit that like button, leave a comment down below, and know that whatever you're committed to working on, I'm rooting for you and praying for you, because you can tame the tongue, approach with compassion, listen deeply, knock down the barriers, and talk your way to healthier relationships. Let your communication be the light of God's love the world so desperately needs to hear.